Good morning, students. Today I have decided to give you some information regarding herbal tablet manufacturing. Especially there is a question for 10 mark question which is stated that how will you manufacture herbal tablets and how will you standardize them? And in the class, and as well as we don't have any, we are having only the virtual classes, in which I have mentioned you, that is, you have to use your knowledge which you studied in your formulative class, especially in your industrial pharmacy, which you might have studied in your tablet formulation, which can be incorporated. But still, I hope that these students were unable to find exactly how to write, because for 10 mark questions I have given in my notes or in my handout which is given for you previously. It has only very small, only a small slide which I gave. So I think students were start discussing and they want to prepare themselves. If you prepare them yourself the notes, that will be very encouraging, and also it's very interesting for you, and also it will be more supportful when you prepare yourself notes. Anyhow, I have given some, I have taken some notes from my classes. If you have time, even in my channel I have some manufacturing formulative classes is also available. Not only for our university, it was for the African university. I have taken some of the classes which is for, I think it is tablet manufacturing. It comes around different types of tablets and how you will manufacture by different methods, and how will you evaluate, and what all the equipments which is used, and also tooling. Everything I have given in detail. If you have time, it's possible for you to listen to that also to get more idea. I have taken only from that, and also I incorporated some of the importance in the herbal tablets. What is the importance we have to maintain in herbal tablets, and what should be written for the examination point of view. I have made a small lecture. So please try to listen, and also you can incorporate my lectures which have been already, it is available in my channel for how will you formulate tablets by pharmaceutically I have given. So that also you can have a reference. And now we are going to just to see about the herbal tablets, how we are going to, what are the guidance. See some of the general guidelines and the step-by-step procedures which have been given by the Ayurveda and Siddha and in pharmacopoeias, and also we have many standard procedures our traditional practitioner authorities have given. So we have to follow, and also WHO have also given more importance and emphasis in the herbal formulations which are now emerging as a high influence towards in all European countries and also whole world. And some general guidelines and step-by-step procedures which are to be followed while working on development of herbal tablet formulation. What are the things? Number one, you have to select the herb. How you are going to select a herb for selection of the herb. You can study like hints, because your examination is nearing. So we cannot study the whole thing. So you can have some hints, and you can have a hints which will helpful for you to write the exam very clearly. So the selection. The selected herb for a formulated must be in a traditional climb for the pharmacological activity. Suppose if you are taking a herb, it should be identified, it should be clarified, and it should be approved by pharmacological activity by the standard pharmacopoeias and standard authorized authorities, and it should have an valuable reference. That is what the selected herb should mention in the traditional literature, like it should be content of this Charak Samhita and Baisajya Ratnavalli or Shishnuta Samhita and Dravya Guna Siddhanta. These all are some of the books which is standard books which has lot of, especially even Materia Medica. You can see there are a lot of books which is standardly approved by our government as well as internationally approved, which are having more references for various herbs and its pharmacological action. So we should have a confirmation before when you are going to some manufacturing of herbal tablets, what is the constituents, what is the herb which you are selecting, it should come under in these books. That's what we are mentioning. And also it should be, nowadays we have Ayurveda Pharmacopoeia Volume 1, Volume 2, Siddha Pharmacopoeia Volume 1, Volume 2. That also we have to use as a reference. We have to use as a standard books for pharmacopoeias to have a confirmation of a herb to formulate a tablet. So that is the first point. And the herb preferably should be collected from their habitat. What do you mean by habitat? Their habitat. Sometimes it may be cultivated, it may be collected from the wild, whatever may be, it should find out, identify its family, its source exactly, and you have to identify by means of a botanist. That is also very important. First you have to collect it from the habitat. The phytoconstituents, especially the phytochemical investigation, phytochemical constituents are available rich in quantity if the herb is collected from the natural habitat. If it is collected from the natural habitat, it will be having a very good content. So that is what they were maintaining. You should collect it from the habitat. And the second one, you should be identified by a botanist. That is what the herbs should be authenticated. It should be certified. It should be authenticated by a botanist on the basis of characteristic symptoms available in the standard textbook given. And there should be a reference number for the herbarium, the standard. You should have the herbarium standards. They may be kept everywhere, and you should also keep and you should also maintain a herbarium. This is the plan which we have taken for this tablet extraction, tablet production. We have taken the extraction by this plant, and we are identified by this, by especially the botanist. His name and his identity is very important. His certification is very important. So that is herbarium should also will be maintained, and it should be kept in our office, which will be used the time to time as any reference if anyone asks. And the herbal material should be cleaned, dried in shade, and stored well in a closed container. That is what very important. And you see, this is in this slide I have mentioned all the books which just in this previous slide when we are mentioning about the Charak Samhita is a book which is available in various editions, and also you can see Baisaya Ratnavali and that is Sasruta Samhita, and you can see there is Dravya Guna Siddhantya. This is also another book which is available. Then the Materia Medica, which we know it is available in our library also, and you can see there are many books. Wealth of India is also a book which is also very good books, and there are many books which has been written by many scholars and many authors which they have written and also approved by our pharmacopoeias. Especially you can see Ayurveda Pharmacopoeia of India, Volume 1, Volume 2, and Siddha Pharmacopoeia of India, Volume 1, Volume 2. These all are some of the pharmacopoeia standard books which have been written by the experts, and also the valuable list of herbs, what is its pharmacological action and how it can be prepared and it can be standardized. All these details will be given in this book. So we have to refer these all books for any manufacturing of herbal tablets or even herbal formulations. The herbals should be standardized as per Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia or Siddha pharmacopoeia. So you will see this, I have given an Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia because when you are taking an Ayurvedic formula, then you can go for this. Even for Siddha also the same thing. So you can see following parameters should be evaluated while standardizing. What are the things? Macroscopy, microscopy, foreign matters, ash value, acid insoluble ash value, alcohol ash values, soluble ash values, and water soluble ash values, sulfated ash value. There are many ash values which you have studied, and moisture content, and what are the things which you have parameters, which is physical evaluations which you have seen. You can go for writing all the details, which I am not going to explain what is what Because you have done already in all your previous semester, you have studied all these procedures. Microscopy means you can write even what all the things, microscopical characters which can be identified, and you can mention, you can find out the adulterations. Suppose you want to make it is a pure, and it should go through the similarities or go to the standards which is given by the standard book. So in some cases, for example, you can see thin layer chromatography, HPLC, instead of there is a typing error, you can see HLM. This HP, that is you want to see, that is you can see that is in case of some drugs. Thin layer chromatography, thin, that is thin layer, instead of thin layer, it is HLN, it is written. Thin layer chromatography, TLC, should be performed in some cases. The value obtained must be within the standard limits given in pharmacopoeia. When you are seeing thin layer chromatography, the RF values which you might have studied, or which you might have studied, how much the isolation and constants of concentration can also be, quantitative analysis can also be done by means of sometimes in thin layer chromatography. So in that you have to see the pharmacopoeia, what is the limits they have given. It can be identified, it can be seen whether the drug which you have used is pure or not pure or is adulterated. In the case if the herb is not mentioned in the Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia, the value given in some standard publications should be considered as the limit. You can see some publications, some papers which is published, and in certain standard publications, standard journals, it can also be taken as a limit for you to go for your manufacturing. The standard methods of these parameters are available in annexure section of Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia and other treatises. Even as we want to say other treatises, Siddha pharmacopoeia, or even many other books also they used to mention, and they have given these standard procedures. And the batch, when you do some batch herbs passed in standardization, should only be considered for the further use. So once the batch of herbs, if it is following, it is passed, it is passes all your tests, all the standards which is given by the pharmacopoeia, if it is passes, then you can go for the manufacturing. Dried herbs should be powdered separately, and the doses of each herb, that means sometimes 2-3 herbs can be involved in the one tablet, and should be decided before formulation. And this should be done on the basis of literature available. What is the literature available? According to that only you have to go for confirming the mixture of various herbs in one tablet. A simple tablet can be formulated by means of either by direct compression or wet granulation, even direct compression method, dry granulation, wet granulation methods you might have studied. Generally wet granulation method is preferred in herbal formulation because it gives enough strength to the tablets, that we know that. But anyhow, we should have more knowledge about this dry granulation, wet granulation, and also direct compression method. So what do you mean by direct compaction, direct compression method, wet granulation and dry granulation method? What is the difference? What is them? And all these things you have to revise, and you should write at least something. When you want to write some words, you should have a good knowledge what is the background. Otherwise simply if you write dry means dry granulation, without dry granulation, if you write 2-3 times it may not be a definition. Wet means wet, adding something water or something, wet granulation, if you write that will not be. Direct compression, something direct compaction, if you write no. So what is the difference between the three? You should know that. As I told from the beginning after this class, if you are more interested, you can see my channel which I have given how the manufacturing of tablet, completely 4 or 5 classes are there. When you have a time, you can just see that there are many videos how they are making the tablet, what are the machineries which is available, how is the tooling, all these things have been told in that lectures, which is not produced for our university or our college. You can see that it's a common, I have made for some European or not, for African students I have made, so you can just go through it. And in that it is somewhat details, you can see that. Here also I have mentioned some, from there only I have taken. This is also very simple, which you have studied already in the formulative or in industrial pharmacy. Tablet formulation methods, you know, direct compression method. What do you mean by direct compression method? Simply instead of going on reading the slide, or if you know something from my word or something what I am saying, that will be more sufficient. Direct compression. Directly you are compressing with a powder which you have taken, directly you are compressing and you are making a tablet. So it's very difficult to direct compression if it is without adding any type of solvent or any type of binder. If it is everything, it's because we have to do sometimes some of them. It's very difficult for sometimes brittle material, crystalline material. It is not possible. But there are materials which have their moisture inside them itself, and it is possible for them to compression. And without any type of adding any solvent system, it can also be compressed. So drugs itself compressible. They should have the quality, they should have a physical property, they are compressible. Or it can be mixed with the filler. You can add with the filler means diluents, which you studied. Various excipients you might have studied in a lot. Lactose, maltose. These all are some of the diluents which you are using. Even starch is also can be used as diluents. It is a binder as well as it can be used as a filler. So filler that is compressible. It should be compressible like lactose. You cannot add all the fillers, all the diluents to the materials to get a compression tablet, direct compression tablet. So, no agglomeration step is necessary before tableting. What do you mean by this agglomeration step? Agglomeration test means you might have studied in your industrial pharmacy. Agglomeration test, agglomeration step. What do you mean by agglomeration test step? You will make granules and then you will go for compression. That's what agglomeration. You are making some agglomeration. The small powder will be agglomerated. That means it will be made into small granules and then you will be compressing. That's what you might have done in a wet granulation, and in your practice, in your practical also you might have done in industrial pharmacy. So that's what we are telling. But here it is not necessary. When you go for direct compression method, directly you are taking the powder and you are compressing into a tablet. But it is not possible for all the material. The material should have a compressible ability. The popular method, because it reduces the number of steps, which one? This direct compression involves in a material required, will not work with all drugs. As I told, it will not work with all drugs, particularly brittle, crystal materials. Try squeezing tablets together, it is not possible, and also may disintegrate faster into primary drug. For example, primary drug particles, it will be disintegrate very faster. So this DT tablets can also be prepared by this method. May be best for potent drug with lots of coarse fillers or relatively soluble drugs can be processed in large particles. Remember, role of surface area in solubility. What do you mean by the role of surface area in solubility? You may be knowing. Why you want to do pulverization? Why you want to reduce the size reduction? When you reduce the size of a powder, when you reduce the size of a material, what will happen? You might have studied in your physical pharmacy. Your teacher might have told the surface area will increase. When the surface area area is increased means it is open to the solvent very faster, and so that it will be solubilized very easily. So that's why when you want to solubilize anything in your kitchen or in your home, your mother will grind it, and then she will make it to solubilize. So it will be easily soluble. Even temperature also makes a temperature will also solubilize more. So that's a technique for catalyzing to or solubilizing some material. So this is a simple method which you should remember. And you can see useful materials: sucrose, starch, dextrin, and they are co-crystallized, and unhydrous lactose, spray dried lactose, mannitol, and chewable drugs, chewable tablets can be used, mannitol, and there is microcrystalline cellulose, all acts as a disintegrant in swelling. So these all can also be used in direct compression method without adding any solvent system, can also be used, and it can be used as a disintegrant directly, because tablets have to undergo disintegration, dissolution, otherwise you will not get any type of action. So that's what one of the evaluation which you are mentioning in about tablet manufacturing. You remember all what you studied in your industrial pharmacy. So whenever you are getting a tablet, first you should know about how will it get disintegrate, and then how will it dissolution, and then absorption, and then only you will get the action. Therapeutic action can be obtained only by means of how it is the drug get absorbed and distributed in your body, and once it is getting distributed, then only you will get the particular action. So that's why this can be done by means of this type of direct compression method. You are not adding anything. You are just directly taking the powder and directly compression with the compressing machine. So how it is possible? It is not possible for all drugs, only few drugs, and you can add some of the materials which are useful. Materials like sucrose, starch, dextrins, these all are sometimes added as a filler and can be directly compressed into tablets. Can you follow? And also dry granulation powders also possible. Dry granules. How will you take dry granulate in powders? How will you make dry granulation? What is the difference between dry granulation and wet granulation? So wet granulation means you are using some solvent system to make it wet, and then you are making small granules in the same size and drying and then compression. But what do you mean by dry granulation method? Here also you are making granules, not like the direct compression. This is direct compression method. This is direct dry granulation powder, dry granulation method. Here what you will do? You will make slugs. You will compress the tablet in two manner. First you will compress the powder into slugs or that is chalks like or slugs like it will be made, and then it will be crushed into smaller pieces. In the smaller piece will be used, and that smaller pieces will be again you will be taken to the compression machine and you will get a tablet. That is a different. So you just see, that's what you remember. There is only three methods. See, whatever I am saying, if you listen, that can be sufficient for this pharmacognosy, for this herbal formulation you want to write for 10 marks. So there are three types of methods which we can be followed for tablet manufacturing. One is direct compression method. Another one is you can go for dry granulation method. Another one is wet granulation method. What do you mean by direct compression method? You are taking that powder and directly compression. It is not possible for all the materials. Only few materials which are having the capacity to directly compressed into a tablet shape, and it cannot be. And that also you can have, sometimes you can add some fillers like lactose or sucrose or dextrin, which can act as a disintegrator, which can be directly compressed into a tablet. What do you mean by dry granulation method? You are making it tablets without adding any type. You are taking powders, different constituents, or herbal powders, or you can fillers, everything you are mixing in a planetary mixer, and then you are taking it to a roller mill. You might have studied about roller compaction mill, where it will make slugs. Slugs means long thread, long solid like something slugs you can make, and that slugs will be taken to a multi-miller which is having a blades which will crush them into smaller pieces, and it will be sieved in the same size, and it will be collected into uniform granules, and these granules will be taken to the single punch compression method or continuous rotary compression punching machine can be used for according to the size of the tablet. You can compress and you can receive. That is what dry granulation means. So what do you mean by wet granulation then? Wet granulation means we are taking the powder, sieving it, mixing it in a planetary mixture, but you are adding some water and starch paste. Sometimes you are adding water directly, or starch paste you are adding. Not only water and starch, sometimes you are using always volatile type of solvents. You can see polymers in sustained release tablets. Polymers can also be used. Some other solvents which can be useful, which can be acceptable for our a human being can be used as a solvent, not only water. So usually starch paste can be added and water can be added, binding. And after binding, in your mixing, you are going for fluidized bed dryer and you are getting granulators. In fluidized bed dryer, when you are drying, you will get small granules, and you are maintaining the moisture, how much it should be present, because the hotness of the tablet plays a major role for the disintegration and dissolution. So we will dry it by means of fluidized bed dryer, and then we will go for taking the granules, the dried granules, after finding out what is its moisture content and everything, and then it will be taken for compression method. So students have to have this knowledge in a very short manner. You should make it in a very short hints, as I told. See, again and again I am repeating you, there is only three methods. Only direct compression method, dry granulation method, and wet granulation method. So very simple for you to remember. Understand? You can see in the notes or in the any type of books, there will be lot of notes will be there. The simple concept behind is only this much. Direct compression, taking the powder, and directly compression into compressing with the punch and the die directly. And it is not possible for all material. Understand? And when you are drying when you are dry granulation method, dry granules are prepared. How you are preparing? Powder are mixed by the planetary mixer, and then your roller mill is used. And then after roller mill, slugs are formed, and slugs are using multi-mill and crushed into smaller granules, in a dry granules, and that granules will be taken to the compressing machine and compressed in a single compression machine or a roller or a multi rotatory compression machine can also be used. Understand? And also wet granulation method, the same thing. How you are doing, there is powders are taken, after sieving everything will be mixed in a planetary mixture. You are using a starch paste. You are using a starch paste, there is starch is a binder which can be added with water, starch paste is added and water will be added according to the requirement when you experience. It's not added completely. So we have to see that how the clumps when we are doing manufacturing, we used to see, we'll take a clump and we'll throw it. Like how you are preparing puttu and all in your home. If you add more water, you will see you cannot get the proper feasibility for eating it. You should add water properly and you have to steam it. Otherwise it will become harder like Kolkata it will become. So it's very hard. You see there is some difference in food and pharmaceutical industry are having a lot of when you food preparation manufacturing of pharmaceutical industry, lot of relationship. The experience will make you to study. So that's what we can see, wet granulation method also done by that method. And then you can go for, after preparing, drying is needed. What is the content of the moisture can be controlled by means of fluidized bed dryer. So we should know many machines which are involved in all these three methods, and that machines can be incorporated while writing your exam. Understand? Because this all you have studied. So you see here, the dry granule powder are mixed with excipients that will result in an increase in particle size and the property that makes a compression possible. Avoid several steps of wet granulation procedure. In dry granulation, there is also very less procedure. Static and recovery of fines can be a problem because fines will be more here. Fines, for example, you might have studied in your compression, fines and the granules, which are the main problems, which is the fine. What is the percentage of fines can be allowed in a compression machine also, you might have studied in theoretically. When you are going for a manufacturing unit, then you will understand. What is the fine? If it is more, then immediately what we will do, we will reduce the fines by means of adding some binder, and also we will just go for granulating again. And also content variation also we will be studying. In dry granulation, the granules are then rolled in a sheets. In a roller impaction or roller mill can be clumped into flakes or chunks or slugs, which is called slugging. It is called slugging, as I told. And finally, the slugging with the bits will be sieved and will be crushed by means of multi-mill. You see here, this is the one small video. You can see in detail in these type of videos in my the lecture which I have given in many, for example. So you can see here, see this is the roller mill. Understand? Roller mill, we can see this is the parts of the roller mill which they are using. There is a roller, two rollers are there. You see the powder will come inside and slugs will be formed. And how it works, you see the video when you are seeing, you can see in detail in my tablet manufacturing, but I have just told you to show. See, they used to use the hopper by means of vacuum. The powder will be supplied in the roller mill in the top, and roller mill will take the powder and it will crush them. And you see here the slugs which is formed in the two rollers. How they are, you can see the compaction, that is called compaction. Compaction method, you are making it slugs which is formed. And after the slugs is formed, you can see the slugs are crushed. After it coming, that is called multi-mill, where there will be blades will be there, it will be crushed. And below that there will be a sieve, like sieve for 10 mesh or 32 mesh, or it may be 22 mesh according to your requirement. So this powder will be collected, or these granules will be collected. You can see, and you can see the flow properties and the bulk density, tap density, these all should be calculated before compression. So this type of dry granulation method, dry, they did not add any water, they did not add any solvent, they directly, it can be produced by a fine powder. It can be, you can see, this is the process of the fine powder, and this powder is, they have added how it advantage of granules. See, for example, this powder is made in two granules. See the granules, see how it was got spread, how this is standing. The result, it is the flow well, and at the end of the result will be very flow granules, it can be controlled. So you see the granules now, that is powder, this is granules. So how it is prepared, they did not add water or they did not add any solvent system, only by means of roller mill, compaction made, and then they are crushed into smaller granules, and then they got these granules. So this is just to show you a video, and you can see this is all the machines which is commonly used for dry granulation method. First one is roller compaction, and this is multi-mill. Multi-mill will be crushed into the smaller granules, and then you can go for compression. So this is just to show you some of the machinery which you have used. And wet granulation method is very common for herbal formulation which we are using. Wet granulation. The powder is mixed with the granulating fluid. Maybe water, usually water. Sometimes we can use some other solvents also. That helps to compress powder into a solid mass that can be subsequently be broken up into appropriate size particles for compression into tablets. Useful for fluffy powders, thermolabile compounds, and the powders that may generate lot of static charge. Lots of experience is needed in industry to produce this method actually. It's not according to the procedure, simply adding water and you cannot make tablet. It needs lot of experience. What is the binding? Everything have to be seen by the manufacturing chemist. Multiple steps, lot of equipments, time consuming, and space is needed, money is more needed, and personal employees and material loss will be more. And in wet granulation, the granulating fluid must be volatile, and so it can be removed easily. But water we can use, generally we are using by means of fluidized bed dryer. We used to remove the water very faster, and also we used to maintain the moisture content before compressing the tablet. Generally water is the best. However, in some cases organic solvents can also be used. Wet granulation are formed by forcing the wet mass through a sieve. Sometimes it is also possible. There is another techniques are also there, like I might have explained in that tablet manufacturing very detailedly about various malmonizer, and there is malmorizer it is called, and also how the Japanese Fuji company, how they are producing that type of granules, and that granules nowadays they are even coating it, and they are filling in capsules like Fursawate capsules. When you see Fursawate capsules, when you see in the market, you can see the capsules which you have a lot of granules which is coated. So that can also be seen very clearly. So the solvent usually contain a dissolved binder. Usually what is a dissolved binder? In water we are using always starch, which holds the granules together after drying, and water takes longer to dry than the organic solvent. That we know very well. Organic solvents easily they will be evaporated. After drying, the granules are screened and produce appropriate sizes into particles and can be compressed into tablets. So granulation mixtures are critically equipment because their capacity, work input, and processing time determine the features of the resulting granulation mass. The amount of liquid and its depression, wet granulation only. Intergranular and intragranular. Intergranular and intragranular. You know that. Intergranular, inside the granular, the intergranular, granular, there will be air space. Inside the granules also there will be air space. So that's an intergranular and intragranular pore structure. Degree of packing between or within granules. Spongy materials of binder and drug is produced. And this is a fluidized bed dryer which is very commonly used for binding. So after binding, you have to go for fluidized bed dryer. You might have studied this in detail about what is the bags, fine bags to collect the fines and how it works. All these things I have explained very detailedly. If you are interested, you can go for my lectures which is in the YouTube for tablet manufacturing. Different sector is there. I hope there is 4 or 5 sector, even including coating is also there. If you have a time, you just go through it. You may be knowing all these details, more details. I mean, it is not going. You are not going to write all these details in the in herbal tablets, but at least you can write something about this fluidized bed dryer. I am not going to explain you today by means of all these things. Just I have shown this picture, and also this is a video which shows about some of the materials like planetary mixtures. See, this is a planetary mixture. Students which not seen, you can see it's a planet. It's in our country. There is most of the equipments are produced by Kedila, and many Bombay factories are available to make equipments very commonly available. So you can see this is the planetary mixer, how it is rotating. You see, these mixers will give you very good mixing. Even for wet granulation method, we have to use this type of planetary mixtures to get a very good mixing, and with the binding agent which we are using. So that can be used, and you can see I have taken even to show you some of the how the fluidized bed dryer. You can see this is the vessel which is used for the binder, which can be added, and you can see, and they will be fixed. This is the fluidized bed dryer base, and this is the fluidized bed dryer, and you can see how, and this is the starch paste, how they are preparing starch paste and how they are adding it to the fluidized bed dryer or to the mixing of granulation, and giving all the speed and moisture content that denoted. And then you can see most of them, for example, this is the place where the bags to collect the fines in the fluidized bed dryer, how they will dry. These bags will collect the fines which is thrown by the bottom, the hot air which is blown through it for the drying, and this is how they are automatic, they used to work. And then after fixing the everything, you can see this is the top of the fines collecting bags, and you are bringing that vessel. You see how he is fixing it to the fluidized bed dryer, and then he will switch on, and so that it will start drying it. And the chemist will be observing about all the materials through the window or to the screen, which is seen like yellowish color. You can see, observe from there what is the condition of the granules which is blown in the chamber, and after getting it's dried, you can find out, you can take the sample and you can find out the moisture content, and it can be taken for the various compression techniques and compression machine. So this is what some of the things of the fluidized bed dryer. And after preparing all the granules, what is going to do in your herbal tablets? You see, the prepared batch of granules should be dried, and following flow property must be evaluated. What are they? Bulk density, which you know that, tap density, angle of repose, Carr's index, and harshness ratio. Carr's index and harshness ratio, it's nothing but between the ratio of tap density and the bulk density. So the value of the above is possible limit by the books. You have to see. We can proceed the tablet punching when it is passes. See, there is excellent, good, fair, passable, poor, and very poor. If it is very poor, if it is giving less, or if it is giving the quantity high, that is, for example, high like 26 to 31, then you can say it is of poor. So you have to add something to increase its flow property by means of addition of silica dioxide or magnesium stearate or talc can improve the flow properties of the granules. So that's what the parameters which you should know. But we should know about what is the Carr's index and also harshness ratio. That's why I have taken how to calculate the bulk density by means of rho is equal to weight of the sample particle divided by volume of sample particle. It will be helpful for you even in the practical also we have done. By means of funnel, we can see the flow property and we can find out what is the volume in 100 centimeter cube. When measuring in the loose density, the powder must be in an aerated state. And also you can see when you measuring tap density, tapping it in a cylinder or in a measuring cylinder density, a step of the powder compaction is necessary. And you can see 100 ml measuring cylinder can be used and vibrated or tapped. By shaking, you can find out the weight of the mass in 100 centimeter cube and also can be measured. So what is the difference? What is the relationship between the Carr's index and the harshness ratio, and above made the being indicator of the flow property of the bulk solids? So about the Carr and the harshness attempt just that, assuming that the compressibility of a solid is related to its flow or flow property or flowability, the purpose to measure the bulk and the tap density of a bulk material and to calculate a ratio in order to estimate how the material will flow. Or what is the problem? Then lower, if it is lower the cost index and the harshness ratio, the more flow is a material. That you can see in the reading itself, last slide which I have shown. When it is low, the flow property is very high. That's why we are telling it's a fine, it's excellent, it's good. And when it comes more, we are telling it's poor. And you have to add silicon dioxide or magnesium stearate or talc can be added to increase the flow property of the granules. So Car's index formula is equal to rho tapped into rho bulk divided by rho tapped density into 100. So the possible rate of Car's index and the harshness ratio are as following. The harshness ratio can be also calculated by 100 divided by 100 minus Car's index. So they both are having relationship. So harsh ratio of the material can be also calculated by this formula. H is equal to rho tapped density by means of rho the bulk density. So that is the relationship with them in the Car's and the harshness. So you can see compression. Now I have given some more details, whatever I have given in my tablet manufacturing in my YouTube, that if you go through you will get more idea. But still I have to tell some of the things when you want to write, because if you write how will you compress after you are preparing granules, you are prepared now the herbal granules, now you have to go for compression. So in compression when you write, there are single punch compressions are there, double punch rotary compression machines are also there. So that's why what are the main components in the compression machine? Hopper, dies, punches, cam and feed frame. So what do you mean by this hopper? You might know, very important. Hopper will increase the flow property which gives the proper amount. And what are the dies? What is the die? Die gives the shape of the tablet, which is the hole which is present where the punches will move. Punches, they will be compressed inside the die. There will be upper punch and the lower punch. So that's also very important. What do you mean by cam tracks? Cam tracks will lift the dies. From the lower punch will be lifted by the lower clamp, and the upper punch will be upper clamp will be taking the upper punch to be compressed. And also cams which are used for the feed frame, which will support the amount of the tablet, the size of the tablets and the amount of the quantity of the granules will be decided by the cam trays. So cam tracks are very important, which moves. Understand? Turret. There are many parts in your manufacturing unit you might have studied. Very important. Even I'm a manufacturing chemist, so I was able to say all these words very easily. But you have to go for reading so that you can easily. But very important, you can write. You should write regarding hopper, dies, punches, cam track, and also even turret is also, if you know, you can write very important turret. And also you can say feed frame. Feed frame is a very important, which can be designed the amount of the powder or amount of the granules which can be filled in the die, so that you can see that quantity or the amount, the content of the tablet can be maintained by means of these cam tracks and feeds. And the tablet compression is classified into single and multi-station rotary press. So this is just a video. I'm not taking more time to show you the whole video. Just you can see this is a video which you showed to them about the single compression machine or single punch machine. Only one punch will be there, the lower punch will be fixed and the upper punch will be having only that. This is die. He is showing the die will be fixed in the die hole, and you can see then they will be fixing by means of the this detailedly I have told in my video of manufacturing. You can just go through that, and I'm not going to waste my time by showing all these things. And you can see after fixing that, you see the hopper will be fixed, and you see how the upper punch, the hopper will be filling the die hole with the required amount, and it will act even the it will be even it will be removing the tablet after compression also. You see the operation, you can see the operation after he is fixing, even the powder will be supplied from the hopper, and how the single punch, even by means of rotating. First initially you can find out what is the amount of punching and size. If it is not, hardness is very less, you can see how it is compressing, and you can see he is just showing you by putting in the floor. It's not the way to find out the hardness of the tablet, and you can see this thickness and everything can be calculated, and by means of various parameters, and if it is very hard and if then there is none, he is adjusting the lower punch, and so that you will get a continuous supply of tablets. You see, he is taken, and once the size and the thickness, hardness is okay, then automatically he can supply the powder from the hopper or the granules from the hopper, and a single punch method can be followed. So this is about a single punch just to show, and thickness by means of a vernier caliper can also be done, and this is the thickness which he can proceed. So that's what I have taken a video just to show you for this purpose, and this is another video to show you regarding this same, and this is another video which we can see about the 3-4 dies are there, rotary which is present in our institution, in our college also it is present. You can see in our college, there we can see this type of rotary dice. Different dice will be there. Even this is 16 members, or 16 is there, 45 is there. I have mentioned very clearly what is the number of dice, how they are increased, and what is the fastest machine, all these details. Once if you have a time, you just listen to that. When you get time, you will get some more idea. When you go for an interview or when you go for anywhere, you can talk much about the industrial part, and also much about the machinery part. You can just explain. And this is also another instrument which I want to say, rotary, and how this is called feed frame. See, feed frame, I want to show you about the feed frame. Very important, how it feeds the powder when it is added. And this is exactly we want to show about the feed frame, how to fix, and when it is the feed frame will supply the granules properly inside the die, and also the lower punch is lifting up, and the upper punch will be giving the compression, and you will get the product. So that's what we want to see. After compression, what will be done in the herbal formulation? This is very important to write. You have to mention, after different batches have been granulated, should be punched, compressed, and made into tablet. Formulated tablet have to be undergo very parameters. That's why your question asks, how will you manufacture a herbal tablet and how will you standardize? So standardization, first it talks about the appearance, size and the shape, organoleptic properties, and uniformity of the thickness and hardness, friability, weight variation, weight, and that is wetting time, and water absorption ratio, and in vitro disintegration test, and in vitro dissolution studies have to be mentioned very clearly. So you have studied all these things, and you should mention everything very clearly. And also it will, when you want to short, if you want to write also, if you want to write short also, you need to elaborately, you should remember what all the points, then only you can write short. Writing in an elaborate manner is easy, but writing into very short, it will be difficult. Once a person having more knowledge, then only he can have to make it very, hence writing is not very easy. When you want to write is very, very short, you need more details to be read very clearly. So that's what I want to say. So when you want to go for in vitro dissolution studies, in the marker compounds, that means the standard compounds can also be compared, as we are comparing in pharmaceutical industry. So it can be compared with means of study of in UV spectroscopy or visible spectroscopy, can plot the various standard curves can be made, and also it can be identified for the content variations, and also it can be easily identified and compared with the standard material. That's what I have given here. And also you can see the best batch should be selected on the basis of various parameters, and we can go more analytical procedures which HPTLC and HPLC can also be used for various studies. And also even go for IR spectroscopy for various structural elucidations can also be done. And next we can go for pharmacological studies can also be identified after forming a tablet formulation or a herbal tablet formulation. So this is what very important to know. And also you can see various evaluation of the tablet I have added from the original formulation, how we are going to according to our pharmacopoeia. So in that quantitative evaluation, qualitative evaluation, both of them is qualitative evaluation, size and shapes which you have seen, and also organoleptic, hardness, friability, these all tests which you have variation and disintegration and dissolution. So you see, all things I have given in detail, but it's not necessary for me to go for explaining each and every slides, and I am not going to wait a time. Listen to me. I'm just giving you some idea. What do you mean by size and shape? Just take the tablet, see the size and the shape by means of, as we shown in the vernier caliper, thickness and the size, hardness. You might have remembered Monsanto, Pfizer technique, hardness. What is the hardness of the tablet? Very important. When it is very hard, or if it is the hardness of the tablet, you might have said 2 kg or 4 kg is maximum normal tablets. 10 kg, 20 kg is not allowed. For example, 10 kg is allowed for sustained release. Suppose if it is more than that, it will be going the feces. Like when a small child swallows a coin, what will happen? It will come in the feces in the next day. Why? Because it doesn't disintegrate, it doesn't go for dissolution, it goes in the feces directly to the anus, it comes out in the excretory organ. So that's why we need dissolution and disintegration. So what is the time? How much the time it takes for disintegration and how much it takes for time for the dissolution is also plays a major role. And weight variations, very important one. Every tablet should have the same weight and same content. That is also content variation, weight variation, and also plays a major role. Apart from the organoleptic characters, marks, if there is any marks which is made in the uniformity should be there in all the tablets. So that's what we have seen in the evaluation. Organoleptic, as I told, it can be this whiter roll, color, odor, and also sometimes if there is any type of chewable, you see sweet taste, everything have to be identified in an organoleptic properties. And hardness of the tester, this is the Monsanto tester, which you might have seen, you might have studied in detail how to do. I am just added the fraction, and this is Pfizer technique to find out the tablets will be kept. And you can see this is a video which I have shown. She is very detailed. She has taken actually in herbal tablets only. In herbal tablets, how she is finding out the hardness of the tablet. You see that how it is. She is maintaining and zero reading. And you take the tablet and keep it in between. And you can see, I think, you see, she is keeping there and zero. And once she is twisting, and she is giving the pressure, and once it goes to that particular, it breaks. So once it is broken and she says, okay, this is the weight, which is the pressure which we have given, it is below 1 or 2, so it can say it passes, because if it is above 2, then we have to think the hardness is more. If it is below 1, then it is hardness soft, it is very soft tablet, so it can be even it cannot withstand the thing. So that's what. And Pfizer technique is also same thing. Only thing is it's just pressing. This is screwing in Monsanto. Pfizer just we are clipping type. And this is also one. And this is the modern technique. Automatic thickness and hardness can be identified by means of this Clava, Pharma, and there are many companies are there available in the market which is having modern technique. The tablet thickness and hardness can be easily identified. You see this one, just a video to show you how they are, and you can see this about how they are doing. See here they are reading how many tablets and everything, thickness are reading, we have to make it. And just you can see the tablet, once it goes and touches thickness, how much, immediately the millimeter will come. And afterwards, he just keeps like that, and he said hardness. And it goes and breaks the tablet, and immediately it will say how many kilograms is needed for it to break. And diameter, if you want to see, you can keep this, again you can see 20 tablets, average can be calculated, thickness, diameter, and also you can see the hardness can be easily calculated for by means of automatic machine. Apart from that, even advanced machines are available. 10 tablets at a time. There will be many pockets, and in that if you put 10 or 20 tablets uniformly, they will give the reading immediately, and you can have a standard printout can also be taken. So that is also another example. And friability tester, you can see Roche friability tester. How much rotation, revolution, 25 RPM will be maintained for a 6 inches falling, and 100 revolution you are seeing the maximum allowed loss of the tablet powder is allowed, and you can see the possibility how much. See, this is also you might have seen in detail. This is if this is the how they are fixing it. This all you might have done in your lab practical. So I am not going to show you how. See, this is how the Roche friability tester will throwing down the sieve and with a small force, and 100 revolution with 25 RPM per minute. If you do 4 minutes if you are keeping, how much loss, and it is within the limit. If it is more than 1%, then it doesn't pass. So you have to increase the tablets binder. So that's what we have to go for calculation. And then you can see some of the things, parameters I have added. What is the difference in concave tablets and convex tablets? All these things I have added, and which we can go through. This is the two instruments very important, which you can see, disintegrator and dissolution. So disintegrator and dissolution is also very important, and weight variation. Disintegrator, you can see this is about, there is baskets and details I have given, but anyhow you can see just, and this one they will maintain the gastric fluid. There will be 2 beakers where you can keep the basket type. 6 basket cylinders will be there. You can go through detail, and if you are more interested, you just listen to my lecture in tablet in process checking, disintegration and dissolution. I might have given in detail about this instrument, and I have explained it about that, how it will perform, and disintegration test also detail you have to write. And next one I want to show about the dissolution. You see, this is a disintegration, another machine, and this is about dissolution. Dissolution, there is pedal type and also basket types are there. So both the types can be used for any tablet dissolution rate identification. So this is also one video which shows about the dissolution apparatus, and they will take samples in this 1 liter beaker of this pedal type by means of standard flask, and dilutions can be done and concentration can be identified for every 1 minute, as she was telling about how to pipette out the samples. Every 1 ml can be pipetted out and can be identified. So this is one technique of dissolution, and various analytical techniques of the tablets can also be added. So these all things should be incorporated in tablet about manufacturing and standardization of herbal formulation. Thank you for listening, and you can incorporate all these things for that 10 mark question which I have given you. If you have any doubt anytime, you just free to call me or free to message me. You can ask, I can give you class and support. Thank you.